from the 55. This week in Canadian football, we are talking a lot of great football games and a lot of great football teams. It starts with defense, always in Hamilton, and it started with the 67 Cats.
In football, we have all heard the expression, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. Well, in 1967, the Hamilton Tiger Cat defense was unstoppable as they led the Tiger Cats to the Grey Cup in Canada's centennial year. For the first time since 1940, the Grey Cup was held in the nation's capital as part of Canada's centennial celebrations. Fans were treated to a matchup of the last two champions as the Hamilton Tiger Cats tangled with the Saskatchewan Roughriders at chilly Lansdowne Park. In the end, the Tiger Cats took the 1967 Grey Cup game in a rout, flexing their muscles, limiting the Roughriders to just a single point, the lowest point total by a team in the Grey Cup since the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were shut out in the 1950 Grey Cup championship game.
In '67, I mean, we turned the ball over a lot. We Ron Lancaster was coming down with the Saskatchewan, and he throws an interception. Fortunately, it was in the end zone and caught it. I mean, damn, we just turned the ball over a lot. We were a great defensive team.
From Arizona State, the quarterback, number 9, Joe Hilger. Oh, is this hard field going to make any difference to you?
I hope not, Johnny. It's a little frozen, but I think the running shoes we have will work out pretty good. I hope so anyway.
Well, good luck to you in the Hamilton Tiger
Thank you very much.
Joe Zuger opened the scoring in the first quarter. Pass interference call against Saskatchewan gave the Tiger Cats the ball on the Saskatchewan 3-yard line. Zuger sent the motion left and scored at the middle on a quarterback run. Leading 7-1 in the second quarter, Zuger used his arm when he connected with Ted Watkins for a 72-yard passing play. A failed field goal attempt by Hall of Famer Tommy Joe Coffey and two singles by Zuger on punts gave Hamilton a 17-1 advantage at halftime.
Probably one of the greatest football teams that I've ever played on was the 1967 Grey Cup team, and the offensive line was probably the best that I have seen ever.
Ed Buchanan fumbled on a handoff by Lancaster, which Lachlan picked up and ran 43 yards for a defensive touchdown, a perfect cap to a dominating defensive performance by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Garney Henley, Bob Richardson, and Bob Krause all intercepted Lancaster passes. It marked the 6th consecutive game that the Tiger Cats held their opponents without a touchdown. The 1967 Grey Cup ended a run of 9 appearances in the national championship game in 11 seasons for the Tiger Cats and was also their 4th Grey Cup win.
And here's Angelo Mosca, the great defensive tackle. Angie, congratulations.
Thank you very
on
much.
A great victory.
Yeah, it was a great victory. The guys played real well together, and believe me, we were picked the last place, 3rd place this year. The veterans pulled the team together, and Ralph did a great job of filling in the vacant spots. And we have a lot of pride in our defense. Even the last 2 minutes, we didn't even want to give up a score because we know what it means. Even though we would win the game, we didn't want to give up a touchdown.
For head coach Ralph Sazio, he would guide the Tiger Cats to 4 Grey Cup appearances in 5 seasons. The 67 game would be his last on the sidelines before he headed off to the front office to begin a legendary Hall of Fame career. I'm Norm Miller, and this is Teams of All Time.
One of the greatest parts of bringing you from the 55 is we're able to talk to some of the greatest players that have ever played and have ever worked on the Canadian game. And this week, we're talking to Angelo Mosca.
The name of our game is Not Telling Enough Stories. And, I was an American that came here. I knew nothing about this land. In 1957, I knew nothing about this country at all. And all of a sudden, I take a look at this contract and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is more money than the NFL's even offered me. How long has this been going on, And I was a very physical guy. I was a guy who was ahead of my time. I was lifting weights in the middle 50s. I was squatting 800-900 pounds. I'd go into gyms where I have to dust the weights off because nobody was using them. And when I came here, there was only 11 Americans. And I'll tell you the story how I got on this team. I'll never forget, I came here in February of that year. And I got a job at the steel company, was working so-called work, if you want to call it. Anyway, Trimble said we keep 11 Americans. So I figured, that's not bad. But every other guy I met was an American. there must have been 18 or 20 Americans. So I said, you know, I got to make this team somehow. So I'll never forget it. The count was on 2. I blew off on 1 and blew the guy back about 8 yards. And he says, hey, you went offside. I says, tell my daughter that. She's hungry. I don't know if I could play in today's game. The head slap was in existence, which was my forte. The clothesline was in existence, which was my forte, and today you can't do that. You can't horse collar. You might as well put a dress on everybody and play some music and dance. I don't know who the leading person is going to be. And it was, yeah, I tell you, I look back and I'm going, what have they done to this game? No, it's not the championships, it is the guys. It's the characters. And then all of a sudden you realize that was that championship era. I always remember Jerry Williams was this coach. And I went up to him and said, Jerry, this is my last year. You know, physically, I just couldn't take the physical pounding maybe anymore. And there were young guys coming along that could whip your butt, you know, and I'm not going to let anybody whip me. And he came to me about 4 games into the season and said, Angelo, I'm going to ask you to retire. And I said, you know, Jerry, I didn't ask much from this game, but I asked just to finish the season. So I said, am I going to get full pay? He says, no. So these were the exact words to Jerry Williams. Said, Jerry, you don't have the guts to cut me because public opinion will kill you. I knew how strong I was in the city and how I think I was pretty fair to this game. Couldn't you be fair to me? But I left his office. Jerry never said anything to me, and I finished the year. And I always remember the last thing that I was walking out of the stadium. There was a sheet hanging over the door as we went down the stairs that said, thanks and goodbye, Ange. So that was all worth it.
With so many great football players playing across the nation at all different levels. And by the way, if you're interested in getting that player recognized as the Canadian Football Hall of Fame Player of the Week, by all means contact us, because whatever level you play at, you could be the Canadian Football Hall of Fame Player of the Week. Now, let's see who Troy has picked this week. Troy?
Thanks, Todd. If you know someone who deserves to be this week's Canadian Football Hall of Fame Player of the Week, email us at fromthe55player@cogerco.ca.
Although the 2010 OU football season is in its infancy, McMaster's Michael DiCroce has already made an enormous contribution to the Marauders' CIS Top 10 ranking. With a very impressive 737 all-purpose yards, this Hamilton native and Bishop Bryan High School product leads the OUA after 3 weeks in receiving and kickoff returns. At 5'11" and 185 pounds, DiCroce is quickly becoming known around the league for his blazing speed, shifty moves, and highlight reel plays.
Back in the 40, past the kicker, still a man to beat, with some speed, being tracked down from behind, the 25, leaping forward,
What a return and what a way to kick off the second.
Congratulations and good luck for the rest of the season to this week's Canadian Football Hall of Fame Player of the Week, Michael DiCroce.
At the attic of the Canadian football consciousness, we thank you for watching From the 55.